Welcome back. The NBA and WNBA are going through emotional turmoil. At a time where most entertainment venues are seeing more viewers than ever before, the NBA has seen its viewership drop 40%. At the same time, an unknown NBA player has the second most jersey sales, second to no other than the great LeBron James. But what could be causing all these weird events in the NBA? Well, let's get into it. The restart of the NBA has been a Black Lives Matter festival. They have fed into the narrative that black people are victims of genocide at the hands of American police. In protest, all NBA players decided to kneel for the national anthem. All NBA players except for one, Jonathan Isaac.
The dawn's early light, what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming.
Because of this, Isaac's sales skyrocketed. Even though he's a relatively unknown and young player, his sales skyrocketed, second only to LeBron James. Now you'd think that the NBA would get the message about what its people, its viewers, want and what they think. But no, the NBA is clear about its message against racial injustice. Actually, they're not. It seems to me, and many others, that the NBA is okay with racism as long as it's towards white people. Last week, in a playoff game between the Clippers and the Mavericks, a black player, a center, Montreal Herald, called Luka Doncic, a white Slovenian, a pussy-ass white boy.
Nice catch by Harrell. He's in traffic, bullies his way in. Man, was that a strong bucket by Montrezl Harrell.
I said in game 2.
Doc Rivers, the coach of the Clippers, when commenting about the remark, said, "You just have to be careful. They were both talking. I don't think Luka was saying anything racial, but he was swearing, so they were both doing it. It's an emotional game. It's a playground game out there in the playoffs." I said to him, "Hey, I don't think you meant anything racially by it." He said a white boy, but I don't think there's anything racial intended. He said a white boy, and you don't think there's anything racial intended? Are you dumb or are you lying? Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Can you imagine if the roles were reversed and Luka Doncic called Montreal Heller a pussy-ass black boy? Can you imagine? He would be chased down by the mob, deported tomorrow, and then LeBron James would tweet about it. After the shooting of Jacob Blake earlier this week, Doc Rivers, coach of the Clippers, gave an interesting statement. "We are scared as black people in America. We are terrified." Of what exactly are you terrified, Doc? I mean, I know this is very taboo to say, but according to the FBI, 90% of the African American males that are victims of homicide are perpetrated by African Americans. Last year, 13 unarmed black men were fatally shot by police. Unarmed does not mean unjustified. 13, not 1,300, not 13,000. And yes, one death is a tragedy. But there's no genocide out there. Then LaFraud's dumbass tweets this. Well, let me explain it to you in a way you can understand. It is a man who has 3 warrants out for his arrest. In his history, domestic abuse and assaulting police officers. It is a man who is currently fighting police officers. It is a man who was tased and would not go down. It is a man who went to his car, reached for his knife, and then got shot. That's what happened. That's what this is. After the shooting, NBA players claim to be emotionally traumatized and psychologically distraught. And so they went forward and decided to protest and boycott the game. The WNBA did the same thing. But let's be honest, nobody cares about that, do they? I'm angry with the NBA, not because they protest for Black Lives Matter. Yeah, I don't care for the movement, but whatever, you can protest for what you want in your free time. What really grinds my gears is that they act like they're so virtuous and so righteous and they fight for social justice, yet not a peep about a country that commits more human rights violations in 10 minutes than the United States could ever dream about doing in 10 years. A country whose relationship with the NBA is more important to the NBA than a relationship with our country. This great country. A country in which the NBA is the most popular sports league. Of course, you know who I'm talking about. The great Communist Party of China. China! In October of 2019, Daryl Morey, the general manager of the Houston Rockets, tweeted in support for Hong Kong, a previously free place that is now run by Communist China. Immediately, the NBA started taking merchandise off the shelves and took down games from being aired on TV. The NBA could not have this, so they publicly scolded Morey, made him apologize, and then you had players and executives come out in support of China. LeBron James said that Daryl Morey was uneducated about the subject and should not have spoken.
We all talk about this freedom of speech. Yes, we all do have freedom of speech, but at times there are ramifications for the negative that can happen when you're not thinking about others and you're only thinking about yourself. So I don't believe, I don't want to get into a word or sentence feud with Daryl Morey, but I believe he wasn't educated on the situation at hand, and he spoke.
And then Adam Silver, the commissioner of the league, came out and said, the NBA and China have mutual respect for each other's cultures and values. They have slaves in China? Literal concentration camps? No freedom whatsoever? I'd love to hear LeBron James talk about the slaves that make the shoes for him and Nike that then he goes on to sell. That doesn't seem like justice. Not a peep. Not a peep. What, it doesn't traumatize you that the shoes that you use are being made by slaves? A justified shooting traumatizes you, but slave labor doesn't? Concentration camps don't? You're not traumatized? You're not psychologically distraught? Recently, it has also come out that the NBA and China partnered to make academies in China so they could cultivate homegrown talent. In this academy, kids would go to study, and of course, most of their day would involve basketball. Of course, being China, the kids didn't go to school. They went to play basketball and that's it. They were abused. They were hit. And the NBA? Not a peep. Yes, even ESPN investigated this and reported it. LeBron James? Not a peep. Adam Silver? Justice. Since the NBA's return from the Corona break, we have seen the players' jerseys, coaches' shirts, courts, and all their gear draped in BLM slogans. Instead of reading the players' shirts on the back of their jerseys, I have to read meaningless messages like anti-racist, say their name, I can't breathe. All this pony show to virtue signal to the world how righteous the NBA is. They fight for justice. Right, LaFraud? Justice matters to you, right? But do the players and the NBA actually care about justice? Do they even care about human rights? I don't think so. What do you think? Comment down below. Like, subscribe. Ginger out.